Day 24. We are going to do regular expressions today. This is going to go quickly for the amount of stuff that there is. So, without further ado, I'm going to put a marker there, and we're going to go ahead and start. So, here's the thing with regular expressions. They're not easy. They're not easy, but I don't want you, as we go into this, I don't want anybody to get, first of all, I don't want you to get feel down if you don't get them right off the bat. It takes a while to get to know them. It's almost like there's like two kinds of people in the world. There's people who really love regular expressions and use them unnecessarily to show dominance and to flex about how cool they are. And there's people who don't ever use them and think that they're horrible and they should never be used and they suck and you're a bad person if you use them. There's pretty extreme opinions on regular expressions out there. And I have to start this with a story. So no joke, I was working at IBM on a project where I wrote a lot of shellcode, and I used regular expression for something that was pretty natural for me. I mean, I had been raised on Perl, so the Perl is all about the regular expressions. We're going to get into that and why that matters and everything. And it was made clear to, you know what kind of type of person I am. It was made pretty clear to me that I didn't need to use it. And somebody said, "Why are you using this?" I said, "Why are you not using it?" And I said it was totally fine. But then I grew up. Okay. And if again, similarity to persons living or dead is purely coincidental. I am not attacking anyone here, including myself. And the people who had a preponderance for using regular expressions, people who really like them, oftentimes overlooked the really serious negative side of regular expressions, and then the people who didn't use them overlooked that. So let me just get back to that. The point of the matter is that person actually showed me. They asked me a very simple question. Looking back, I feel kind of foolish. They said, "Why not just do a substring match, or why not just split it?" So, in order to understand why that's significant, we'll come back to that story and we'll return to it. So let's actually hop in. So if you're new, you know the drill. RWX Rob on GitHub /boost is where all of this is. You can go get it. And we're on day 24. We tried to do a little bit of regular expressions yesterday. I did not have time. We just did globbing yesterday. Yesterday was a disaster. I mean, it was all over the map because I didn't have an outline and we kind of made it at the time, but whatever. That's the boost. I'm not promising anything. Just do our best. So what is a regular expression? I honestly don't know why it is called regular expression. I do know that they were invented by the same guy who's famous, I believe Chomsky, right? It's a regular expression. Let's see what you would see out there if you were doing a search. As a part of computer science to create parsers for languages and stuff like that. And we are going to talk about regular expressions in that context really quickly as well. So regular expressions, short in regex, regexp, also referred to as a rational expression, never heard them that way, is the sequence of characters that specifies a search pattern. Usually such patterns are used by string searching algorithms for find or find and replace options on strings, or for input validation. And input validation is one of its greatest strengths. And we talk about that a little bit. It is a technique developed in theoretical computer science and formal language theory. In fact, I'm almost positive it was Chomsky who came up with it. I don't know what book he ever put it in. No, it's in Stephen Keel. Okay, Stephen Kleen formalized the concept of the regular language. A concept came into use in Unix text processing. It was big time, and then POSIX became a standard, and then Perl became the dominant universal standard. We're going to cover all that. Regular expressions are used in search engines, blah, blah, blah. Text processing such as set and awk, we're going to talk about that and why you shouldn't use them. I could have swore, I don't know, I've never really looked at the history of who made it. Ken Thompson, there he is. So let's see, among the first appearances of regular expression programming was Ken Thompson, who credited for inventing Unix. At Christmas time, we're going to watch his video. Every Christmas, that's what we do. We watch Ken Thompson's video about the Unix operating system, which started it all in a sort of mystery science theater kind of style. Go back and watch the video on YouTube for that. We had a blast. We laughed our butts off last time we watched it. For speed, Thompson implemented regular expression matching in just-in-time compilation to IBM. So, okay, it was Thompson. It wasn't him. And it got put into Ed, which gives awk and all of his stuff. Emacs, VI, everything. Everything's got it. I could have swore Chomsky was involved in here, but I guess not. I guess he just wrote the Dragon book. So there we go. In 1997, Philip Hayes developed PCRE, which was the compatible library for regular expressions that went on to dominate the universe, which is in everything now. PCRE is in JavaScript. It's in Python. People say, oh, yeah, Python's better. Python is literally using Perl regular expressions. So you can slam on Perl whatever you want, but the nature of the beast there is that Perl was largely invented to unify all the different standards, all the different awk and knock and everything. And regular expressions were a big part of it, basically a replacement for sed, awk, cut, and all these other things. And so it had really kick butt regular expressions, which we're going to learn today. And that went on to be in everything. Go has them. Every language these days has PCRE. But I guess it's important to note that PCRE is not Perl. It's just Perl compatible regular expressions. Apache and PHP even. Today regexes are widely supported, particularly for lexers. So lexers are the thing, they're kind of the stage before, if you know the stages of compilation, which we'll talk about when we do C coding later. I mean, you at least need to know how a compiler works. You don't have to be able to do it, but you should know how they work. That the tokenization or the kind of the isolating, finding all the parts of the string of data, breaking it up. That's what regex is really good for. We've done it when we were doing delimited data. Remember that? When we do this, we're gonna actually start with delimited data, and we'll go from there. All right. So the regex engine, ECMAScript, Java, blah blah blah. CPU compilations. Yes. Wow. I didn't know there were GPU implementations of PCRE. Wow, that's really cool. All right. Well, I mean, you can go through and read about all of the stuff of this, and that's fine. I never really read the history, and I made it fine. And again, the purpose of the boost is to tell you, shed some light on things you may not know, maybe express some ideas about things you should know, or you should go learn on your own, master them, and to help you decide what you maybe not necessarily need to know, or warnings, give you those warnings and stuff. In other words, opinions. And as much math in there as we can. Not math, as much science in there. All right, so let's do this. So a regular expression is just a way. We did pattern matching yesterday, right? So the short difference between globbing, pattern matching, and regular expressions, some people are going to yell at me, but is that pattern matching is mostly just for matching things. It's not for matching and replacing. And when you say regular expressions to most people out there, they're immediately going to think, oh, you're going to validate and match something, parse it up, and potentially replace it with something else. So in other words, replacement is a big part of regular expressions. And as yesterday at the beginning of the boost, we showed a regular expression match that you can do in Discord, which I shall now repeat extremely quickly, just to give you a sense of them. So here we have a regex. What just happened here? Say there's Quint. Hey there, all right? And I said, hey there, right? And I'm going to do this. I'm going to say S, and I want to replace the E and the exclamation point with just one E. And it didn't work. It just replaced the exclamation point. I think I just broke Discord's regular expressions. It was always a gimmick anyway. But basically, you can actually replace, if you put the E at the end, so dollar means at the end, right? Hey, how's it going, green tea? And, oh man, it didn't work. Let me try it again. All right, let's try another one. You guys want to try? You guys can come on in the room. We're in the regex room here. Yeah, welcome, by the way, everyone. So let's do it. Hello. Let's see how many L's I have. Let me do too many O's. How about that? So let's do that. Still loading, but just to drop by. Say, let's do this. S/. Let's do LO with just O. How about that? There, you see what it did? It did it. So you can be the cool person who knows how to do that. I thought it was funny. I ran into that on accident, completely on accident one day, because it's common to do that. Like if you make a spelling error in IRC, if you want to look cool, so again, it's important that I tell you how to look cool, right? If you're in IRC and you're chatting with somebody, obviously IRC, once you say something in IRC, you cannot take it back. There's no edit, there's nothing. It's just there. And so one of the common cultural idioms is to do s/something with something else, you know, and it's kind of cultural too, right? You know, like redirecting your opinion to dev null, you know, teach, you know, stuff like that. So knowing about the s/ is important. It's a pain to master, but life skill if you do. It really is. All right, so let's go learn how to do it. But I wanted to show you that it is there. And that is the replacement idea is usually associated with regex in addition to just regular matching. Know what a regular expression regex is. Parsing and matching. All right, so we're going to kind of progressively add on to your knowledge already here and start with your knowledge of shell. So the number one reason that I reach for bash instead of POSIX shell is for double bracket regular expression notation. Number one. It's also the reason that I started using Perl again, because it has some things down here. It doesn't have this one. We'll get to that later. So let's do this. So let's say, so, you know, fire up your computer. By the way, if you don't have a computer terminal to run, get Docker on your computer. First, step one. Step two, go run my workspace. And to run the workspace, I'm going to do this every time so you guys can get used to it. Go Docker run it --rm rdbx rob. It'll take a while for it to download, but you can go run the exact same thing that you see me running right here. You can have it for yourself. And it's got a random name on it and stuff, but this is, I mean, it's got everything, right? It's got fishies and everything. I have to keep plugging it because if you want Linux the fastest possible way to follow along in the boost, that's it. All right, so now let's go ahead and try to use regular expressions in different ways. So let's pretend like we're working on a file. I don't know, we were saying greet before, right? So touch greet. VI greet. Well, do I have schmucks on here? What does schmucks really mean, guys? Schmucks is my lazy replacement for schmod plus x because like I'm typing it so often it's crazy. So anyway, we're gonna do new VI greet. That's how you make a script. Yeah, there you go. So now we have this script up here. Script's called greet right here, and we're going to do bash. So let's go to review. Let's do our shell. So bin sh, right? And let's say, let's ask people for their name. How about that? How about we ask people for their name? And there's a lot of better ways to do this with the delimiter, but we're going to do it with the regex in the first place. So we could say, how about this? So first of all, let's get their name. We already did all this, so I can just do it. You can go back and watch the other videos. I can say prompt. Oops, no, that's not right. So we can say echo. No, how about this? Printf says it doesn't have a line return, right? We'll say, hey there. What's your name, right? Question mark. And then we'll do a read name. I'll read the name. That'll read it into the name. And then we could echo or print. We could printf again, I guess. Let's see, S, right? Nice to meet you, comma, right? So, and then we have to put the variables, the name, and we'll put that in quotes like good boys and girls. And there's our basic script. Nothing too fancy there. We've already covered that in scripting. So, and I can type stat/greet. And I say, hey there, what's your name? Rob. All right. Nice to meet you, Rob. Well, we had a problem. Got to put the line return right here. How about that? So, I mean, you know, nothing fancy, right? But let's say let's say that we want to make sure that it's actually a name. All right. So let's say, okay, first of all, let's say we want to always, maybe they wrote their full name. And so we want to just ensure that it's the first name. So if I did greet like this, right? They Rob Muterstein, like my name. I want to be formal. I don't want to be formal. I want to get rid of that second part. Okay. So how many of you have already done the delimiter day, which is what, like 5 days ago? See, what would you do with using just delimiter splitting? How would you do this using, let's say, parameter expansion? How could you ensure that you always get just the first word? I mean, that's something we've already covered. So, but let's make sure it's just the first name, right? So we can say first equals, I'm going to give you the answer right away. Make sure you pause the video if you don't want to know. So we do first equals what? Whoops. And we're going to use parameter expansion. A lot of you, if you said anything with set or awk, shame on you. You definitely don't need it for this. So we need this, and we're going to say, I want to chop everything up to the first space. All right. And then I change name over here into first. I promise we're going to get into regexes, but this is all sort of related because regex is the progressive enhancement. It's the progressive tool beyond regular, like parsing and splitting and stuff. So another way that would be, some of you might have accepted, I will accept answers like this. Some of you may have said something like this. It's actually not as good. Anybody try this one? Anybody have this? This is what you used to see in the old days, in which you don't need to do this because it's just like, I almost shouldn't even write this. Did anybody have this? Tell me you didn't have this. Somebody had this, I'm sure. I bet you somebody had this one too. This is a kind of a review of the last of the delimiter day, of the delimited day today. Emil is saying, "Uh-oh, I screwed up. This is so bad. This is like 2 subshells. Oh my gosh, I've seen code like this too. It's like, just no. All right, so that worked, but that's like 1, 2, 3 subshells. No, bam, bad. Okay, but this whole idea of using Perl for regex instead of a ton of subshells is a pretty common thing. So we're going to see that. It's not the same expression as VI. Somebody asked. It's not, and we're going to talk about that. VI regular expressions are different. We're going to talk about the different regular expressions, but I want to justify their use here first of all. So we already know that we know we can chop off and get the name, right? Well, there's yet another way to do this. So let's say not only do I want to chop and get the name off, but I want to validate that it's an actual name. Okay, so I want to do 2 things at once. And by the way, this idea of validating data on input, untainting data, as Perl calls it. Perl actually has a -T. Anybody know about this? That will set all out unsafe data coming from outside the program as tainted, and unless you validate and grab from the regular expression match, you can't use the data if you want to. It's one of the safest things ever added to a language to ensure good data integrity, because it forces you to use regular expressions as validations, and unfortunately it's not used anymore. People don't use that. They just let anything go, or worse, and they try to identify they try to identify all of the bad things in there so whenever you get a chance to do an allow deny combination, and they're all over in tech, always take the deny all, allow this one approach. Always. I'm just saying, you will not. If you can do the reverse, you can say, allow everything, only deny stuff that matches this, but inevitably that will not match something you wanted to deny. It's always better to deny everything and incrementally open the gates and let stuff in than the reverse, because then when you make a mistake, you don't lose your job. or somebody doesn't die or something. And so use, I'm going to say that, use deny, then allow approach. I'm going to say, it's not really related to regex, but with regex validation. I'm just going to just put in FYI. This is a basis of Perl taint. And a lot of people don't know Perl. If you are picking up Perl and for some reason or another, and it's still got some uses out there, then that would be the way to use it. All right, so we're gonna do it here now. How would I do it without regular expressions? Now, with POSIX shell, I would have to do this with sed, and I don't even want to do it because I hate sed. Should we try? You want to see me like kick and scream the whole time? Yeah, it's not going to be pretty. Do you want me to make the case about why sed sucks? Do you want me to make that case right now? I'm going to do it. All right, let's say I only have POSIX. Okay. If I only have POSIX, then, and I want to get done with this, I'm not going to do well. I promise you right now I'm going to fail because I hate sed. I've hated it for years. I tried really hard this last week. Somebody who was watching me on weekend trying to make a POSIX curl script doing this using EXPR, which never, ever use EXPR. Never, I'm going to put never use the deprecated. People don't know this. I didn't, for anything. It is 100% deprecated. You'll see it in examples and books and textbooks and everything. Do not use it. It's been deprecated for over a decade now. It is left over from an ancient time that is not needed at all. So don't do it. Or do it if you want. We do what you want. You're your own person. Okay, so thanks for the follow. I'm kind of scared because I hate sed. I hate sed. So what are we going to do? First of all, let's try to just get the second part off. All right, so let's do this. Let's say first equals, and obviously we have to have a subshell, so there we go. We say equals echo name. Now we already can do it with awk. I did it with awk already, right? Now we could do it with cut as well, but let's try it with sed. I don't want to do it though. I really don't. I hate sed. I hate it so bad. I think we can get rid of this one actually, because it's, yeah, we can. Because it's not down here, it's quoted. That's where it's important. Okay, so up here we can do sed, and then we have to put the terms for sed. I always put them in double quotes just because. And we can say, I want to replace everything from the space onward. But I don't even remember the expressions because it's BRE. Why am I hemming on this? Because sed uses basic regular expressions and they suck. Oh my God, they're so bad. They're so bad. I mean, let's try this. You know what? I don't even care. Who knows sed? Tell me how to do this because I don't even want to learn it. And I almost don't want you to learn it. I just want you to know that they do not belong in your brain because they will confuse the crap out of you unnecessarily when you could just learn Perl, which is the same as Bash, by the way. Bash has 100% PCRE compatible regular expressions. So why on earth would you subject yourself to sed regex? Now, I believe that, again, there is a version of sed that uses Perl regex, but as soon as you do that, you're not POSIX compliant anymore. So you can't use it. If you're going to use sed, you have to use BRE, basic regular expressions. And they're not the same. They're just really, really ugly. They don't have positional notation. I almost don't want to waste time. I will give this, what is it, 725? So we're going to set a POMO. I'm going to set a POMO for 5 minutes. If I don't finish the POMO in 5 minutes, we are not doing this. If I cannot finish the sed in 5 minutes, you guys are going to laugh your ass on me, but I don't care because I have never learned sed because sed is stupid. Stupid. It's just so stupid. I got 5 minutes to do this. If I don't do it, I'm moving on. All right, so I could just do a search for it if I really wanted to, but I don't really want to. Sed. So I want to match. All I want to do is I want to replace S. We got our S in there, right? and I want to replace everything from the end up to the space, okay, and then everything that comes after the space with nothing. I think it's gonna work. I don't know. Let's do. Let's practice that here. Cause I got 4 minutes to do this. Name equals Rob Mama. Okay, and let's do this. So again, echo. Echo name, which you should not do like this. I don't even want to show you that without the quotes because you'll do it and then it'll blame me. Sed s/space. Nope, I failed. I failed. Do I have to do that? No. All right, let's start with one thing at a time. This usually helps. All right, we'll get. Oh, okay, we got the space out. Yay us. Yay me. All right, there's the space. Now, anything after the space. Now, this is regular. This is real regular expressions. Let's see if it does it. It does it. Okay, fine. I don't know if it does it in POSIX though. I don't want to. I want to say that that's not POSIX compliant. Anyway, that's how you do it. Okay. So that is, by the way, the same exact thing as. That is literally the same thing as the POSIX compatible parameter expansion, which you would always do instead, which does kind of the reverse. It says delete everything that % signs mean from the back up. It says revert, delete, and star in this case means every single character up to the space, delete that off, and we get the same effect. Now, the reason we're doing sed is because we want to add more to it. I've still got 2 minutes on this. We want to say, I only want to allow characters in there. Let's start with something simple. So it has to be, so we have a space, right? Let's say it has to be, well, let's see. Well, let's use another one for validation. So we do that sed, we'll do like a match. So like, we'll just do a regular match. Let's see here. No, I don't. No. Because this is going to delete it off. But what we really want is to make sure. Well, this is the part that it always kind of annoys me with sed. I know how to do this in Perl. I just don't know how to do it sed. So we'd have to say. Oh, let's see if we do this. We say, okay, we say, is it a letter or not? All right. So there's this thing in POSIX called classes. We did them yesterday, and you could say alpha. Yeah, but it was added. ERE was added to POSIX. ERE was added to POSIX. Thank you, Neuromancer. Thank you for that. I did not know that. Well, there you go. Okay, so this seems like, wait until we get to Perl. You're just gonna be like, why are we even doing this? You really are. Okay, so that matched one alphabetical character, ASCII alphabetical character. If it was an alphabetical character in any other language, it wouldn't matter. So we want to do a couple of those, right? So, so we would say, all right. So, does it have ranges? I don't think it has ranges. Does sed have ranges? I don't think it does. See, that's the hardest part. Is that it doesn't. Does sed have ranges? I mean, does it match like? Does it match? I don't even want to do this anymore. I've never taught sed to anybody before because I don't like it so much. I keep complaining about it, but I'm wondering if it has ranges right now. It does. No, it doesn't. That failed right there. So that's a class. I'm just going to do it in Perl. Yeah. By the way, if you have Perl is just as fast as sed and just about the same size. Let's see. ls-l. Let's check which sed, if you have it. Let's see which one's bigger. Perl's a lot bigger. Yeah. Perl's 3.4 megabytes. Okay, I take that back. How big is bash? 1.2 megabytes. So that's kind of like, like the bear in the middle, right? Not too little, not too great. I don't know. So I mean, if you have to use sed, fine, use it. It is on BusyBox and it is on Alpine and all that. So there's no Perl there and there's no bash there. So if you're doing containers, you might find yourself having to use sed. And in which case, I pity you, which includes me, because it's just so hard. So all I want to do is make sure that this is the word Robin here. So I'm past my Pomo session. I'm going to let you go fight with that. As I said in the notes, don't clutter your mind with sed BRE. ERE maybe. The problem is that BRE... Okay, so let's talk about this. What is basic... is it valid on BusyBox? Did you confirm that? Said that she is? Oh, that's good to know. All right. Technically, if that's POSIX, then I think we're good to go. So the biggest problem with regular expressions is there's so many different variations of it. I don't think extended regular expressions has \w classes, does it? Does it really? That's really nice. Good job. If you want to try stuff on BusyBox and stuff, we could do that. So I failed. I failed to get it with sed. Obviously, I would have to be tweaking it forever, and I don't want to do that here with you. I know I can do it. I've done it. I just don't like doing it. So I'm going to move on and just eat my pride. I made my Pomo was yelling at me down here. So Pomo, you can stop now. And what else we got? So let's try this with Perl. And then we'll try it with bash. So echo name, and Perl -e. Well, I mean, I don't know whether we should do this, which way we should do this. Let's do bash first. That's what I started with, right? All right, let's go back. All right, so forget sed. Well, awk would probably be easier for that anyway. But we want to say whether it's there or not. Some people actually use grep for this. You ever seen that before? I see this all the time. People that want to do validation will use grep. So grep, the RE in grep stands for regular expression. So you can actually use grep like -e on an expression, and if it doesn't grep, then it's not there. So grep, I've seen this used. Now, it's a subshell. I don't know if I would like to use this, but you can do it. So one of the things you could do, this thing that we're trying to do here, you could say, so let's say, I'm gonna remove all of this, and then I would do a grep for, and I think it's they use extended on this on grep. I want a grep for like a name or something. I've never used a POSIX class in a grep in my life. Do you guys know if it's possible? I mean, I like pushing the boundaries when you guys are all watching. It's like I'm like literally the opposite of most streamers. They're like, make sure they have all the answers before they go. I have no idea what we're going to discover here. Nope, that's not it. So I don't know. I don't know if you can you actually grep? Can you grep it? Yeah. So anyway, you could do this. You could do like grep. So Rob, that would tell you if it was there or not, right? And if it, but I know that you can grep classes. So what is it? What is the expression for grep? Is it capital E? I think it is capital E. Let's see. Patterns in a file. Let's go look up the patterns. Let's see. Grep patterns. Use patterns as patterns. Option multiple uses of time. Gives you beginning with the pattern, but it doesn't tell you what kind of pattern it is. Oh, if you do capital P, you can use Perl regular expression PCREs. I told you they were in everything. I told you. So yay, bash scripts. How's it going? So let's see what else we got. Word regex, no. Line regex, no. Count, color, no. I don't even know how many of these things would even be in a regular, like on BusyBox, for example, something that's like really small. So I want to look at the pattern matching rules for grep. I have never done this, so this is gonna be fun. I should probably say, I should probably put this in here. So let's see. How about this? Use sed or grep if you must. It's been fun, like going into the realm of stuff I never did because I always use Perl. Let's see, explore glob, glob, recursive reference. I don't even know if you can use classes. Regular expressions. A regular expression, as you guys have been reading, is a pattern that describes a set of things. Regular expressions, blah, blah, blah. Here we go. for learning Perl. We're going to talk about, we'll talk about in Perl Day. The best resource for Perl is the man page because it was pre-internet, so it's all there. Man Perl, I'm not kidding. Same with Git, by the way. Best resource, hands down. Someone recommended it to me. I'm so glad. So Perl grep has no less than BRE, ERE, and PCRE. Now you know they're all there. I can't even articulate the difference between ERE and BRE to you because I don't know. I have mastered PCRE like really well, and so anytime I try anything else, I get really surprised when it doesn't have it. And if I had my way, I would only teach you PCRE. Why? Because if you're going to code in Go, C, Python, PHP, Java, I can go on, Ruby, Rust, they all use PCRE. All of them. They all use PCRE. JavaScript, all PCRE. So why learn BRE and ERE? The only time you would need it would be in the extremely rare case of being on a system like a Docker file or something where you're using it and awk is already on there for splitting up. So you can just get away with subshell and parameter matching and tweak your thing until it fits. And you really don't need it. I mean, I don't know. Does anybody know? Conquest? Are you still on BusyBox? Go see if Brep supports ERE, and if we know Perl's not on there, but I'm just curious to see what else we could do. I'm trying to get enough evidence to make the statement before everyone here that you don't need to learn BRE or ERE, and you won't be a bad person. Escaping at magic symbols, kind of M's. Yeah, right. Right. And that's one of the reasons I don't want to. It's hard enough to remember regular expressions as a language when you learn PCRE, which is the universal standard. So I am really, really hesitant to muddy your cognitive waters here with this because there's so many other things. Plus, I don't know it. so I just not. I'm moving on. I'm just going to own it. So use setter grep if you must, but this one is nice. So if you use this notation, by the way, an equals sign and a tilde is the universal sign for match a regular expression. Every language supports it, pretty much. Any scripting language, anyway. So I mean, some languages like Python and Go and others, they force you to make a function for this. Here's the downside, and I'm kind of jumping ahead, but one of the downsides about regular expressions is they have to be compiled. No kidding. No matter whether you're using C or you're using Python, regular expressions must be compiled before they can be used. And which is, I actually plug for Pagan here. I made a language called Pagan, which is going to take the place of Regex, which is much more expressive for command line grammars and stuff like that. If you want to be involved with that, pegn.dev, you can help us out if you want to help write the compiler for that. We've already got a first version working. I just haven't had time to get back to it. So, but regular expressions are a thing, and in Bash they come in. You get the bonus of using them in double bracket. Now we talked about this already, but why should you always use double bracket notation in Bash? What is the single number one reason that as soon as you change over from shell to Bash for your script, you're already using interactive Bash because this is default, right? Probably. If you're not, but if it's in your script, you're using POSIX shell because you want it to be compatible. But if you're okay with it being Bash, then what? There's no subshell. But beyond that, there's a really huge reason. It's probably one of the most underrated reasons of all time. There is no glob expansion. Now, I have to kind of back up here because we thought it's making that statement would have no meaning to you until yesterday. Yesterday, we talked about pattern matching using globbing, all these fancy star expansions and stuff and the limitations of them, like filling up too much space on the command line, blah, 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 and how you can use that to combine with if and for and case and all kinds of stuff. So pattern matching is super duper essential. You have to know how to use it. And when you combine pattern matching within single brackets for a conditional statement or in a for statement or something between single brackets or just a plain old test keyword, which I prefer because it's more explicit, without the double brackets, with the single brackets, it automatically does glob expansion, which is why the cardinal rule of shell coding, quote your variables. All variables should always be quoted. there's some debate about whether $1 needs to be quoted, but I think it should be. The point of that is that when it does any kind of expansion, let's say there's a star in there, right? It doesn't expand to match more than what you want it to be when it's put in. So you're not opening your shell scripts up to injection, glob injection and stuff like that. Now, so I had to summarize this perilous problem with shell in general with single brackets for you to understand the single greatest advantage of double brackets in bash. They do not do glob star expansion, and that's why you can do really cool things like this. We'll come back to grep later, but that allows you to do amazing stuff like this. So I'm going to change it over to bash, and now I can do this. I can say I'm not gonna try to overthink this. Let's pretend like we chopped the name off. That's fine, okay. But now let's do a validation. We want to make sure it's an actual name. It's not like, it's there's something there. So you could say if and we'll do the double bracket. Now you can do this with test and bash as well, but in this case I probably would use a double bracket. I go back and forth on that. To understand that statement, you need to go back and watch the thing about shell programming variables on an earlier day. Because you can write test here too. It's kind of the same thing. But double bracket. All right, so we do double bracket. We say if name, right? Remember I told you there's no expansion or anything, so we're safe there, right? So if name matches, and the first time I did this, I was so uncomfortable, I refused to believe it was possible. So I'm glad I get to show you. And then I can write a PCRE regular expression. So I can say if it matches, I believe it's PCRE, but it better be. That's what I've been using forever. If the name matches an alphabetical character. So let's start with the old school. Actually, no. Let's do this. Let's do an until. Okay. Actually, let's wrap this whole thing in an until. You want to do that? Yeah. Until, it's just a variation on while, so don't panic. Until name has matches. I don't know if this is going to work. We're going to try this, though. A through Z. I don't know if that's going to work. Somebody out there's laughing right now. It's fine. I don't care. So it's going to keep prompting you until you get it right. And so I don't know. Let's try it. Should we try it? I'm nervous. Rob. Obviously, it's not right. So we need something else here. Oh, we said, it's only matching one character. String to the right or operator is considered a POSIX extended regular expression. Oh shit! Are you telling me it's extended? Is it really extended? Well, okay, maybe I don't mind extended then. I don't know. I don't know extended. How close is extended to Perl? That's the question you need to answer for yourself. I'm just going to use Perl, but I should probably learn it. So, extended. Let's do this. It has to be 0 or more extended. So let's see if that's going to work. Rob. Nope. Still not working. I don't know. Let's see. Let's do this. Alpha. And we want one or more alphas. Does that mean I'm going to have to do this? I am, aren't I? I'm going to have to do that, aren't I? Because it's regular expression. It's the extended one. Yeah, I thought about that. I was hoping I wasn't gonna have to do that. See, okay, so that's kind of the annoyance. Yeah, the biggest problem I have with the difference between PCRE and extended or regular or basic is how you indicate one or more of them. Right. So the alpha is a class we talked about yesterday. That means all of the POSIX alphanumeric characters, including underscore. That's A through Z in ASCII and other stuff. Right. Now, but the hard part of this is you really I'm kind of jumping ahead, but you really want a Unicode letter. That's the property you want to be matching. You don't really care about you know, what I just did. So I think you can do the same thing this way. Let's just check. And that's like a, you know, another way. It doesn't like that one. It don't like it. A through Z. How about that? Let's try that. Okay, that one worked. Let's try. I guess it doesn't allow you to do the other one. So you have to do A through Z or A through Z. So you could say, like, nope, Rob, how about that? There you go. So that's just to start. So this is a class. A class can use a dash to show the ranges. If you wanted to say, I don't want it to have dashes in it, let's say this. Let's say, you know, I want it to be anything, but it can't start with the letter L, right? So we could say, I don't know, not L, and then, you know, 0 or more of these things. 0, comma, that's the number right here. And then you could do Rob. Actually, let's do Linda. Oh, Linda is allowed in. I don't know, man. It seemed. Oh, you know why? Because this got greedy and matched it. I bet that was it. I bet that was it. What if I do this? I mean, this is why there's things like Regex Golf, because it's you never get it right the first time. Oh, look, see? Now it doesn't like the L. If I just do L by itself, what if I do LO? Oh, okay. So LO was a match. Why would LO be a match? Anyway, you guys can figure it out. But you're going to have a lot of fun trying to figure out. So it's probably time for me to indirectly introduce you to Regex Golf. If you want to get good with all this matching, it takes a long time. You can get kind of addicted to this. This is actually, I mentioned it yesterday, there's a bunch of XKCDs on it. I think there's one at least. If you just search for Regex Golf, you can actually change the Regex engine from classic to different. I mean, there's different types you can set. And what you do here is you write something that matches. Let me zoom in. So you write something that matches everything. So match all of these. Okay, so we know foot's going to be in there. So we matched all those foots, but we didn't meet footy. Oh, dang it. Let's just try FOO. Ooh. Okay, I think we got it. I think we got it. Oh, that's pretty cool. I didn't see this. There's actually a competition here you can do. Say, does it A through Z matches other stuff? Because it's the whole ASCII range, right? I think you're probably right for Zeg. But you got to be careful. In fact, for that reason, let me plug something that I made a long time ago. Let's see if I can actually even find it. I made a tool for doing this stuff on the command line using tmux. And I don't know if I have it even on here right now. Yeah, I do. Okay, so let me go see if I can find it. CD regex. I don't know where you are. Oh, there you are. All right. So if you want to install this Go program, you can actually use this from tmux in addition to Golf if you want to. But it's really great for testing out your regex and making sure it's relevant. I was doing some pretty intense pattern matching regex stuff for a skill bot that would look through your history and make sure you type the right stuff, and using regular express is really, really good for that. And so here it is. You can go take a peek at that. If you want to see the projects right here, we're running out of time and we have a half an hour left or so, but I want to make sure I get this out there, stuff that you can go look at. So this is how it works. You put your regex in here. You can point it at a file. It'll, by default, it'll look for regex.txt. The top line is the regular expression. And then actually you can put anything in the file that you want. And that's why I did it this way, so it would match like large files. And then you can decide whether it'll tell you whether it matches it in a separate pane. So if you do this, you can like split the screen here. And so if we were doing this, I actually don't think that's installed in the workspace. I don't know. We'll have to see. Actually, no, we can tell right now. Let's do 3. Let's see, which regex. Nope, it's not here. All right, so let me just put a note here. I put a note. See the workspace. Just give me 1 second. Add regex tool. Yeah, utility. Thank you for bearing with me. Regex. But you know what? You get on the command line. Look, I just opened a ticket. I just opened a ticket on GitHub just like that in like 10 seconds. Isn't that great? I cannot tell you how much I love their command line interface to all their issues and stuff. And now you can go look at all their issues like this, typing issues, boom, there it is. And now that'll remind me, and I can just leave it at home. I can do it live in the middle of a stream. And all right, so what were we doing? We were looking at regex. Okay, so here's how it works. So there's a number of things in here, but the way you work it is you split the screen, and then over here you just run it, regex, and you have to be in the right spot. If it doesn't find a file, it won't match it. So it's looping using Turnbox, actually a GUI UI, and it's doing it, a very slow loop, but nothing to be worried about. And then and then over here you can have your regex open, and you can make live changes to it. So the top line is a regex, and the bottom is your sample. So in the simplest way, you could do this. You could say, hello there. Let's do Rob, right? Murstein, and put that here. See, does that still match? If you save it, it says, sorry, it doesn't match anymore. Uh-oh. And then I can go back up here, and I can get rid of this. I can change the regex and say, I want it to match. This is PCRE. This is Perl regular expressions. So I want it to match any character. Yes. Okay, so there's at least one of any character there, right? If I put like Doris in here, it'd be like, nope, sorry, there's no such thing. And I do not know why it's doing that little annoying thing, but oh well. So that's how you can do that. Actually, let's rotate these a little bit. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. There we go. All right. So, I mean, you can do it this way too. Is fine. And save. No. Let's do this. Start this over again. So it updates depending on where you are. So they can say, if I put Rob here, of course it would match, right? If I put N, it will not match, right? All right, no. Okay, so let's try to get rid of the first thing. So let's say I want it to just be Rob. So I want it to be 3 letter characters. All right, so I could do this. I could say A through Z, and it would say, okay, that matches 1 A through Z character, right? So if I put a 4 here, it should fail. Actually, it doesn't fail. Why? Because it does match an A through Z character anywhere, but now I need to lock it down. So I'm going to put an exclamation, that thing there, that caret. The caret says must be at the beginning of the file, and now it fails. If I get rid of that, it's like, no, okay, because this means A through Z anywhere at all. And then if I want it to be case insensitive, I can do I, and that says I put an I in a special thing here. I'm just giving you an example so you can go through and do this on your own. And so I do save, and it's like, no, and I actually prefer people use this through the training that I've been giving people than in golf. Golf is fun, but a lot of times you want to set up your own golf scenario, not to mention you want to actually write code and write a good regex. So this is a way to very interactively check your regex. And you can put this here, and that'll still match, right? So if I were to do not case insensitive matching, we would have a problem, right? So let's say I make this all uppercase, so it still matches, but if I get rid of case sensitivity, it's going to fail unless what? Unless I put A through Z, right? Or unless I use a POSIX match class for this, which is a pain in the butt, which is alpha. I mean, you have to go look all these up. I'm doing it fast so you can just get a demonstration, see where to go. So that says alpha. They're all alphas, right? If I wanted to put this, I could put lower ASCII characters. Nope. How about upper ASCII characters? Yes. Okay. Those are the POSIX. There's like 20 of them or so. You can read those. Or I can use Perl and I can do stuff like this instead. Rather than doing all of that, I can say I want a word character, all right, \W. That means that I want a word. I mean, it can be lowercase or uppercase. If I put like a star in here, it should fail. Oh no, that says there's only one of them, right? So, okay, let's do another thing. Let's say I only want word characters, right? So that's true right now because there's one of them. If I put -W, now I have 3 word characters. If I do this, I have 4 word characters. Nope, can't do that. No, too many. Now, another way to write that is like this. I could say I want one where I want to have 3 word characters with a maximum of 8 word characters total. Yes. Okay, 3. If I go under that, fail. If I do more than that, it's going to be fine until I do this. And then what? That should fail. Oh no, it still works. Why? Because there is at least a range of 3 to 8 characters in there somewhere, right? Now, if I break it up, I could do, so let's lock it down. So let's say I want this means it must have one at the end and it must match at the beginning. Now it's like crammed in there. It can't get out. So now what? Is it going to match? Nope. Why? Because there needs to be 3 to 8 word characters. 3,8, and that must be everything. I think I might be missing something here. Actually, what am I missing? Somebody help me out. I might be getting that wrong. Yes, 3 to 8. How about this? Anyway, I mean, I probably made several mistakes tonight. I just want you to know. Go back and check them yourself. So, but the W is word character. Trailing space, you think? Oh, you're right. Good catch, Dave Palm. Good catch. Yeah, absolutely, that was it. You win the prize. You win the prize. Although there it goes again. I wonder if it's because there's a line return on the end. I think you know what it is. I think we need to do. I think. Well, I don't know. I don't know. I think it might be M. So M means it's a multi-line match. M means treat everything as if it was one line, and then treat. Or trail, yeah, I think the trailing new line is the thing that's killing it. I do. That's why you have to do multi-line like this. So these are all things that you're going to have to read about, and you're going to have to spend at least a week getting regular expressions down. And I don't expect you to know everything right away. I just want to give you some ways of testing it out and stuff. So a couple other things though. The simplest way to do a regex is to just say a plain old thing like that. So we're gonna let's say. I want, from the beginning, I want it to be a number of word characters. You've got 2 problems. Yeah, so let's do, I want it to be exactly 3 word characters. Now, if you put a 3 there like that, that's exactly 3. So does that contain exactly 3 word characters? If I put a space, fails, right? If I put a star, it fails, right? If I don't want anything that begins with dashes, like the command box tool I'm making, but not, this is one that we got tripped up on last time, and Pearl's probably going to do a better idea of it. Oh, it doesn't. Look at that. Wow, that's really down. That's dangerous. We had this problem yesterday. You remember we did this yesterday? Had to do a not. That is so interesting. Wait. At the beginning. There we go. All right. No. We got it. It worked. Thank God. I thought Perl was better than the ones we were doing yesterday. And this is going to pass, right? So if you want to if you want to say, I don't want any hidden files that begin with a dot, right? So that is now a fail. And this is a true. Why? Because it says from the beginning of the file, of the text string or whatever, the first character cannot be a dot. It cannot be a dash. It cannot be an exclamation point. And so if I put a dash in here, you know what? I think the dash has to be first. It does. The dash has to be first. It has to be, because otherwise it means range, right? So what? So we got dot, sorry. Okay. A dash should be a sorry, and this should be fine. But this should be a sorry, right? So there you go. We got all that stuff. You would not believe the stuff you can do by the syntax for not. All right. So, okay, there's two knots. There's two knots going on here. All right. There is the knot in a class. So the caret is really confusing because the caret outside of a class means the beginning of the text. So that's what it matches. And you do that in VI constantly. You guys want to add a line return to a foo, you know, I mean, you want to add your stuff to foo. You're going to be using this all the time. So wait, where's my S keys? All right. So let's say I want to quote all this. Bang, bang. And then I do S, and I do caret slash, and see how it highlights it. And I want to say, I want to put a comment and then a slash and then enter, and then it replaces them all. So you're going to use the caret for meaning the beginning of something constantly. It's going to be something that you use all the time. Unfortunately, it also means when it's inside of a range or a class, you know, the brackets, it means not any of these. And in this case, the reason this should be true, is because it's the first character, because this locks it down to the beginning, and this says not, the first character must not be a period. All right. Now, there is an entirely different way to check for not, and I have to show you that right away, and we have to put that in the Vim thing here. So, and I'm just going to write it right here for you, so before I forget. If you use this, now you can invert the condition. Yeah, that I'm sorry I threw that as a horrible example. You got probably one of the worst ones of all, right? The problem, remember we talked about the problem with regular expressions? They are a language. It's a very esoteric, very weird language. It looks like chicken scratch. When people complain about Perl, they're almost entirely complaining about regular expressions, period. Because a lot of Perl code is just full, chock full of them. So yeah, I mean, here, let me give you a good example. This is a project I did way back in the 90s, actually 2001. And I just want to show you. So, as a PM, so there's a regular expression in here. This is some Perl code, and this is what's called an extended regular expression. And you use QR to indicate a regular expression. And if you can unpack this, but by using the X extension over here, it says I can use as much white space as I want, and it won't matter. It will not match it. It will just think it's, unless I explicitly match a space character, just ignore it. And it allows you to kind of spread your regular expressions out. But this is why people hate Perl, because they see this and I have no idea what this matches. But it's also very powerful because you can write an entire grammar in 3 or 4 lines of code. And so you can parse that. And that's why regular expressions are the basis of you know, Lex and Yak and all the other language generation tools that are out there for building actual languages if you're going to write your own language in C or something. So but I don't want to get into this. I just want to show you what's going on. You can kind of get a sense of what's going on here, though. Remember this guy right here? Do you guys recognize what that does? What's that do? A through Z and underscore? What is that? Right? So that's like an alphanumeric character, right? This thing here is a word boundary. I'm pretty sure. And then this is, there should be 0 or more word boundaries. And then these are colons. This is a grouping. So you can group. So let's get to replacement. We've got about half an hour left and we haven't talked about replacing anything yet. I think we've covered all the basic syntax. Let's show you how to take what I was just doing in that tool and put it into a bash script. So we'll get rid of the Perl for now. And let's go to back to our other stuff. I'll leave this guy up for a second because I might need it. Actually, let me name it. So we're going to name it. We'll name it Regex, so I can go back to it later. What's going on here? Nothing. What's going on? 3 is Docker. Okay, so let's go back to our greet program, and we have this regex. Now I'm still leery of this. Now that I know that it's E, I thought for sure it was pro regex. You're telling me it's not. So we've had somebody do the research for us while we're watching the stream and determine that Bash uses extended regular expressions. Now, the reason you care about BRE, ERE, and PCRE is because they are it's bad enough learning one of them. You can't imagine what it's like when you learn one and then realize, oh, this one has to have backslashes in front of everything. And you're like, what? And so you cannot keep anything straight. It makes you crazy. It's why people hate regular expressions. So that's why Perl was made in the first place. And I'm going through that right now. All I want to do here is say, I want to make sure that the name is all letters. So ready, go. Let's do this. I want to match it. I want to say, I only want the letters. I want to prove that this is just letters. Now, if I were doing this with PCRE, I would be a no-brainer. I would do this. Like that, and I'd be done. And I don't know if it supports that. So \W, there you go. So \W is, let's try this one. So Rob, let's say Rob here, right? Let's actually say one Rob, and this is what I want to work. And I'm going to turn off line matching just because, and I'm going to take this guy off, and I'm going to say, all right, this has got to be at the beginning of a line and at the end of a line. And in between, I want a word character. That means A through Z, upper or lower, and underscore, which is a problem because it's not even all the letters in the Unicode standard. But whatever. And it's got to be one or more. Plus means one or more. All right. Now, that matched. Then I don't think it should have matched. Right? I don't think it should have matched. And so I can do man Perl RE and see if I can find. So here's the whole man page on it. If you want to read it, man Perl man RE. This has got all the regular expressions. It tells you how you can put M in front to just be matching, and S for substitution. And we have to get to substitution before we end tonight. So here you go. So there's the operator like you saw. You can do all of the different things. It doesn't matter what these characters are. In fact, sometimes using underscore or a comma is really nice. You'll see me do that a lot if I'm dealing with a path that's got a lot of slashes in it. As you go, it says dot matches anything. And then you can put stuff behind dot to tell whether it should be, just one or more. If you put a plus behind the dot, it means one or more of a thing, anything really. And if you put a star, it means zero or more of that thing. If you put in brackets, in curly brackets, those numbers, then that's how many, the range of numbers that you can have for the thing. And you can get a sense of this by looking through this, but I'm just going to go through really fast. If you want to provide an option, you can use the bar, which will split it and do this or that, and then you put this in the group, right? And you don't need to worry about groupings for now. You can just use parentheses, but just know that when you do this, you're creating a group, what is it called? A buffer, a match buffer. And so that can be used later, as in this case, \1 over here to replace something. And so you can actually create a replacement in this using this method. You can reverse words and all kinds of fun stuff. There are a number of other really weird ones that I don't want to talk about, like \B, which is a word boundary. Well, what's a word boundary, right? So you kind of have to remember what it thinks a word boundary is. Here's a way to do this. And there's just lots of stuff. I don't mean to, escape the next character, match the beginning of a string. There you go. Complement the classes at the beginning. There you go. Match any single character except new line. Okay. $ means match the end of string. The bar means this or that. Make sure you put that in parentheses, by the way, if you have other stuff to match. Otherwise, it'll bleed in and it'll get it all. Start a bracketed character class. We got that. Match 0 or more times. Match 1 or more times. The question mark means elements preceding element 0 or 1 times. Now, the reason that we did glob star matching yesterday, pattern matching, is as you can see, they are different grammars that use the same symbols. And I know, I knew these days were going to be confusing for people, but we have to go through it because when we start looking into vimrc tomorrow, in bash RC, you're going to see regular expressions in there. And I don't want you to panic. I want you to know that you know where to go to look up how to debug and how to look up what that thing is. But knowing regular expression pattern matching, particularly, these sorts of things is going to be really helpful when it comes to making your own filters and your own Perl customizations for other things, or even, set in awk if you want to. But this star in globbing means something completely differently, right? And I don't even want to say because it'll confuse you. Go back and watch yesterday. The star in this case means 0 or more of the preceding thing. Spoiler alert, that's different than globbing. Plus means 1 or more of the preceding thing. There's no such thing as a plus in globbing. The question mark means, in globbing, means exactly 1 of anything. But in regular expressions, it means exactly 0 or 1 of the preceding thing. Okay? And then the way that you indicate a sequence is with the brackets. So if the first number is the minimum, and if there is a second number, you have a comma, and that second number is the maximum number. If you want to have a minimum number of things, you can just put the number in a comma with no maximum, and it'll run out. A dash is a range, which is why we were having problems with it inside of a class. In order to match a dash, it has to be the first thing in the class in order to use it as a character, as opposed to indicating a range between A to Z, for example. We have the beginning of a comments. That's the same thing. You can have, with the -x modifier, you can put comments inside of your regular expression. And I'm telling you, it's like a full-blown language at that point, right? If you can comment the thing. So that's PCRE. That's the one I know and love. Probably the most common way, and I put this in the notes, to split something up is to just break it up into white space and non-white space ranges. All right. So this is one way, and I'm going to give you a challenge. I don't know if we have time to do it right now, but I'm going to give you a challenge. We did awk already, but see if you can simulate the same sort of thing from awk using nothing more than \s and \S. And so what this matches is non-white space and then white space, non-white space and white space. And you can like take all the pieces of a line apart, something that awk would normally be used for, and you can do that just by grouping these things here, and using alternating them to split the line. Let me see if I can give you a real quick example of that. But it would be like, so S Murstein. Okay, so if I did this and then I wanted to say, I could actually match all three of those. I could say \S. That means some sort of words. I want 0 or more of those. And then I want I want 1 or more word characters, non-white space characters, and I want 1 or more white space characters. Then I want 1 or more white space characters. Then I want 1 or more white space characters. Then I want 1 or more white space characters. This is exactly the same thing as awk, right? And if we were doing substitution, we would put groupings on this right here, and we put groupings on this right here, and we put groupings on this right here. And then if I was doing a substitution, this won't work, I don't think. But if I were, I could do a substitution like this, and I could say, I could use it for other stuff. Or I could, in Perl, I could use $1, or, the range that got matched then gets populated into a buffer, and you can use that. And in Bash, you have that same thing. I know I'm talking fast here, but in Bash, you have the same thing. So, God help me if I can actually get this right. Let's see. Because we just learned that it's extended regular expressions and not. This is, by the way, I started to use regular expressions in Bash in 2020. I let myself use Bashisms all year, and to see if it could do everything Perl can do. And I hit some regular expression limitations, and that's why I abandoned Bash for things that I normally was using Perl for before, and I'm back to Perl for those big type things. Usually, though, that kind of scope is just for prototyping really quickly, and I'm almost always going to want to write it in Go or Python or something right away. So this thing here, I don't even think it's matching right now. If it were matching, I don't know. Let's try it. So .greet. No. Okay. It's not taking anything, is it? So we have a problem, Houston. Anybody want to take a guess? I think that means that it doesn't understand \W because it's not PCRE. because \W and a number of these other PCRE things, these really convenient backslash escape, matches, classes matches, including \P. I'm running out of time, so I'm going to jump to it. \P. This will match any Unicode property. So if you want to match all lowercase letters in the Unicode standard, which is something I legitimately want to use, I don't want to force it to just be ASCII. I want to be able to use Spanish characters or anything. There's a real strong need for being able to match Unicode properties in a regular expression in a scripting language, particularly if you're prompting people for input from international, for anything these days. You should not be limiting your matches to ASCII ever. And I'm jumping all the way down to the alternatives, really all over the place. But POSIX character classes are less relevant in Unicode world. So that stuff will lower. That's just lower ASCII. Alphanum, just alphanum ASCII. So pretty much all of the character classes in POSIX and most of the quick classes, like word classes like this is just a word character in ASCII. It's not a Unicode word character. So I guess the good news is that a lot of these classes and a lot of the stuff that you would have to learn for pattern matching and for regular expressions in today's world are irrelevant because they don't match Unicode property classes. And Unicode property classes are hands down the must-have when you're doing any of this kind of matching. It's also the reason that Go is the supreme language for international programming because it was created by the same guy who co-created the Unicode standard. That's a fact. It's Rob Pike and Ken Thompson co-created the Unicode standard that we know and love today. Emojis, everything. They created it. And they also created the Go language. I rest my case. So if you're going to do this kind of thing and you actually care about writing code, that's super popular, by the way. Go's phenomenally popular in Asian countries because of this. Because all of this ASCII matching is broken. As soon as you do any of these ASCII matching ranges, you're dead. In fact, now I'm super curious because \S and \S, I wonder if they've updated PCRE to match the Unicode standard, and I imagine they haven't. You know why? Because if they do, they're going to break all kinds of stuff. If they suddenly say \S doesn't just match spaces, but matches any space property in Unicode, they've just added like 10, 15 other characters that are now valid without the people coding it ever knowing that. So, the more we get into the regular expressions today, quite frankly, over the last year, I've had, if I'm completely honest, I've had very, very little use for some of these regular expression things. And that I told you I went to reach for one. And Perl is, by the way, the only one that has \P, which will match any Unicode property. It's the only scripting language on planet Earth that will do that. I actually think JavaScript might do it, might have \P. I don't know. But I don't know if \P is in it. So if you're doing regular expression pattern matching and you're letting things in, so you probably want to just find a Unicode pattern matching library and use that instead, because the old regular expression stuff, it's nice and all, but it's no longer relevant. It's largely no longer relevant. But if you are going to learn it, this is the stuff that you normally would need to learn. S's, W for words. Remember that underscore is alphanumeric. Imagine Perl or Python, etc. I don't know. So right now, I don't even know if Python has Unicode matching in its regular expression when I checked it. Does it? Somebody find out. Let's find out. I know Perl has it. I guarantee you modern Perl can match the capital L class for Unicode specific character classes. Are there Unicode specific in Python? Thank God. Okay. There's not in Bash. There's not. And now that we're learning that Bash is just extended regular expressions, I think I've just kind of largely confirmed my feeling about this, because I can't use the character classes like I wanted to. Ruby has \P. It's probably. Can somebody find out if it's in the PCRE standard? I think it is. If anybody wants to take a moment and look that up. I have a feeling \P is adopted in the PCRE standard. Thank God. It's the only thing people are going to be matching. It's probably going to be the most common regular expression field, period, because all the old POSIX stuff is irrelevant because it's just matching character ASCII. Now, sometimes you do want ASCII if you're doing like language parsing and stuff like that. You don't want to match every single possible letter case in every possible language. There's thousands and thousands of them. And sometimes if you're just writing a language and you've got the ASCII character set, you want to be, nice and succinct. You don't want to have all that in there to do the matching. And that kind of leads me to the next 10 minutes. This has been, I'm really trying to, covering all of regular expressions in 90 minutes is kind of foolish, but at least I feel like I've given you a boost, which is the purpose, right? To pick up and go with it, and to just make some really intelligent decisions about how to validate your input and to do substitutions, to do, to change things, the whole / kind of idea, right? But before we, the last 10 minutes or so, I do want to talk about the alternatives. So substring matches, we talked about that. Parameter expansion is good. We talked about the overhead. Every regular expression has to be compiled, and when you do it in Perl and Python, it has to be compiled every time it runs. So I don't believe Perl does any caching of the regex once it's running. I think it might do that, but in other languages like Go and Python, actually, you can pre-compile the regular expression, which becomes a little tiny miniature, sort of like a miniature program. It's not really, but it's kind of like a miniature program inside of your program that takes care of the parsing of that kind of thing. And so then if you're going to do a lot of matches against something, you could look for that. We're going to hit regular expressions again when we come back. Both PCRE and Unicode properties. Nice. Thank you for looking that up. C++, I don't know. I don't have any input on that. I imagine it has it. The really great thing about C++ and languages like that is C in particular, is they have libraries that do it. Right, PCRE and PC, those are libraries. If you want Perl regular expression matching in your C code, just use the PCRE library and statically link it in your code. You're good to go. Right, it's a project I probably should try for myself to learn to get up to date. So know the limitations of regex versus other parsing methods. We talked about that. The cognitive and technical overhead, as you saw me flounder today, trying to find the right thing and then figure out what version of regex it's even using. It's a massive cognitive overhead to put that in your code, let alone have somebody else understand what it's doing. So if you can get away with a substring or or indexing, which by the way are crazy more efficient. Regular expressions are not efficient because they have to look up every possibility. If you're just looking for a substring match, you can code that in C in an afternoon, in like an hour as a beginner. You don't need, and it's very efficient, right? Because it's just looking at every character. That's what it does in a regex, but it does it in a really convoluted way, depending on your regex. You can actually end up writing a regular expression that would take an infinite amount of time to resolve and not even know it. It's crazy. It's crazy. If you want to have fun with some of that stuff, go do some of the golf stuff, and that we have listed here, and some of the other PCRE resources that are listed, and have fun with them. We really love them. I guess I should probably end with this, but like they are kind of internal. They're sort of kind of a rite of passage, right? Once you learn a regular expression, you kind of get obsessed with them, and it becomes an inside joke. And then you do something like really lame, which like you put it into your title here. I changed my title. I was going to show it to you. I forgot. I think my GitLab title has it still. I actually had this on my resume, and I thought it was cute. And no, Rob, just no. You can't read it. You think it's cute that no one gets what this says except for like 5 people. I tell you what, though, the people who did understand it really appreciated that, and they would say, "Wait, this matches this other thing here, right?" So here is my. I'll cut and paste it. This is my title. It's at SkillStack. Because why? Why did I make this my title? I made this my title because I thought it would be kind of fun. It's like I did a stupid font there too, so I'll just zoom in on this. So wait, here we go. So I actually, this is the problem. I literally was a one-man show. I ran this whole business myself for 8 years, including, and I can't kid you not, I cleaned the toilets, I wrote all the material, I wrote all the code, I got all the business financing, I did the taxes at the time. So I did it all, and I was like, how do I have a title? So if I'm not, first of all, let me just say, if I show you this and you do it and get in trouble for doing this, don't blame me. But now you can understand it. Do you understand what this regex means? So you get it. So this is Gopher. Yeah, there's a Gopher. Gopher is a Go programmer. Coder, hacker, founder, fixer, hacker, coder, Gopher, or there's important or there, right? Or mentor or janitor, or A through Z. From 0 to 2 characters. Somebody caught me on this one. They caught me on this one. They said, "Well, wait, that means you can't be the COO. You can't be the COO if you're the COO. You're the CEO." You're like, so this count the CFO, CTO, the CSIO. but what about the CO? You can't be the CO and I had like a 1 here or something. So they caught me on this one. They said, "Okay, well, you should probably have a 0 there." So actually, the strange thing about this is actually got most of the stuff from a regular expression that I would want. It does have the lockdowns at the end and at the beginning, and it's fun. I mean, it's regular expressions are fun, but until they're not. So if you're put in charge of understanding somebody else's really dense regular expression, and there's some sort of security on the line. I mean, this is pretty cringe. This is not cringe to the right kind of person though, like Conquesting or you. There's certain people that this speaks to. They're the same sort of people that like resumes in YAML format and think, BrainF is a funny language, and spend their time on. Usually those people are not. Yeah, it's kind of leet. I refuse to write on leet speak. I think leet speak is talk about juvenile. I just won't do it. Anyway, so if you write in it, it's great. I'm not attacking you. Don't be personally attacked. People. Sorry. All right. So, Ham Elite. We've got a lot of stuff here. At the end of all this thing, after having talked through it, I've concluded that /P is really the only one I care about going forward. Period. Absolutely. Unless I'm writing some sort of language parsing, or I'm writing a checker, which is what I was doing with the Skillbot stuff, to check on your history file and make sure you have the right answer or something. That's what it did, by the way. There was something in the prompt that forced it to write to history every time you did any command, and then I'd have a robot, running, basically a bot code running, and it would tail your history file, and it would look to see how you type the commands, and it would use a regular expression to see whether you got it right, and it would be flexible. Like, so if you had spaces or something, say it would give you a prompt and say, okay, list all the files in the current directory, and then it would watch your history until you did it, and then when you did it, it would sign it off, and then it would send you on the way. And so by using regular expressions, you can like really inspect your system for crazy amounts of things. If you're doing like audit compliance and stuff like that, you can search for. We used to do a lot of this in the as password file or SC Linux or whatever, and we would interrogate the system and say, are these things true? And a lot of times we're going to be searching the whole system for a very specific regular expression match, and if that does match, then we say, okay, now I need to remediate. So it's kind of like, I mean, we kind of skipped over standard query language, but regular expressions are kind of like the god of all matching tools on the system. So you can write a very, in grep, you can write you can grep out a very specific line of every file, on your system, thousands of lines, and get it within a few seconds. So it's like a standard query language for everything, and that's one of its greatest advantages. That's why people love it. That's why I love it. You start the first boost. No problems. I as usual with the boost, when these things end, I feel like I've been all over the place. I'm just doing my best, and at least you're getting the idea. So if there's one thing to take away, learn regular expressions, but in particular, learn Unicode property matches above all else. You're gonna have to learn the basic syntax. Learn the Perl PCRE syntax first. Don't learn the other ones. Just don't. Learn PCRE first, and then if you have to learn SED or whatever the extended one is, learn it for a specific need. Chances are you're never going to need it. But in that one time when you do need it, like I did on my container build, then you can go look it up. And you can think of it in terms of PCRE, which is the universal standard, hands down, for regular expressions today. It's also one of the greatest reasons that I believe Perl needs more credit. You might not want to write enterprise software, you know, that's like millions of lines long in Perl. It's not the way it was made. But we can thank Perl and Larry specifically for inventing PCRE in order to do this. Welcome to all the new people. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and publish this. I think this is already out there, and that's all for today. Does anybody have any questions before I wrap up? I think we covered everything pretty well in terms of like what you need to know. What day is it? 24 or 24, right? Day 24. So day 25 is customizations. Just so I'll let you guys know for tomorrow. Tomorrow we are going to jump in. I don't have it up here yet. I'll get it there by tomorrow. But if you look in the days list, tomorrow we are customizing. All right. So beginning tomorrow and going all through the rest of this week, probably into next week, we are going to be customizing your terminal Linux systems containers. So if you've been using my workspace, you can, I'll take you through and we'll actually use a raw, non-customized Ubuntu build, and we will build it up. And we will put in, you know, make an interactive bash shell prompt. We'll customize our VI. We'll start our shell scripts collection. And then we're going to start talking about networking. We're going to get on Git, and we'll start learning links and tmux and all that stuff. So that's coming. And just a reminder to everybody, the reason we had to suffer through regular expressions and delimited data and stuff is because you can't understand a configuration file until you know those things. You have to know shell, and you have to know structured data, and you have to know, you know, glob star pattern matching, and you have to know regular expressions, because they will pop up all the time in those things. So now when you look at them, they won't look as foreign. They won't look, you might not be fluent yet, but it won't look as scary, hopefully. That's the goal. My goal is to help you not be as scared of everything on the terminal, because for some reason people are. And having gone through regular expressions right now, I'm afraid I left you terrified, but it's right at the perfect time, just at the end. Age of Neil. Skipping all the boring stuff. Well, yeah, all the boring regular expression stuff. So boring. And on that note, it's okay. I'm gonna go now, and you'll see this video up. And if nothing else, just feel motivated to go spend some time with Regex and understand them. Okay. I'm still going to be here tonight. I don't know how much time I'm going to be here, but I'm at least going to be here long enough to put the videos up and stuff. So I'm going to stop the stream right now and then do my thing. Bye.